What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here with another video today. And today we are bringing you guys our Auburn Tigers preview and prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Help me reach that goal of 1,400 subs by the end of July, about 80 away. So let's get rolling on that. Check out the description for links to our shop, podcast, website, Patreon page, and our college football roundup channel that we do with the football expert. We appreciate all the support we've gotten, and we're bringing you guys college football prediction videos from now. We started a few days ago all the way until August 18th. So we're excited about that. But let's get rolling with today's video. So the Auburn Tigers last year, not a very good job offensively for them, particularly in the pass game, as they had the worst passing offense in the SEC, one of the worst in the country, averaging only 162 yards per game. But Peyton Thorne is back. They've revamped their wide receiver room. They bring in a bunch of talented freshmen, particularly Cam Coleman, the five-star, that has really lit it up so far in camp for the Tigers. They also bring in Perry Thompson, a four-star. He's been lighting it up in the spring as well. They also add two really good transfers. They get Robert Lewis from Georgia State and Keandre Lambert-Smith from Penn State. So they've really tried to help out Peyton Thorne in the wide receiver room. And then you look at running back Jarquez Hunter. He was a dog for him last year. He's going to be very good again this year. One of the top running backs in the SEC. As I expect a big season for him, as he's the second returning leader in the SEC in terms of rushing. Last year had 159 carries for 909 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaged 75.8 yards a game and 5.7 yards a carry. You look at some of the top recruiting. Cam Coleman was the second highest recruit brought in to an SEC school this year. He was the number 3 player in the nation last year. So a huge pickup for them. And a lot of people have Jarquez Hunter as a first team SEC player at running back. So this Auburn offense looks like they're going to be a lot better. They returned 6 starters, the entire offensive line, just missing the left tackle and the right guard. They have Jeremiah Wright filling in at right guard. He is a junior, and Percy Lewis filling in at left tackle. He's a senior. So they have two guys that are very experienced. And Percy Lewis is a transfer from Mississippi State, and he started last year for them. So a lot of big transfers, pickups from Hugh Freeze. This is going to be his second year here at Auburn. He went 6-7 last year, 3-5 in the SEC. Those 3 wins coming over Mississippi State, at Vanderbilt, and at Arkansas, all by a pretty solid margin of 2 touchdowns or more. And so a pretty solid season for Auburn last year. A lot of ups and downs, 2 3-game winning streaks, and then losses the rest of the way. They won 3, then lost 4, then won 3, then lost 3. So very streaky team for sure. But I expect Auburn to be a lot better this season. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team. Not sure the schedule and wins really show a major improvement, but you're going to see the improvement on the field and how much better they play as they've brought in and increased the talent on this team by a lot. But let's go ahead and jump into their schedule this year. So they start out week 1 against Alabama A&M. That's obviously a win. No need for discussion on that one. Then they get Cal in week 2, a home-and-home series. They started last year. They won on the road 14-10. It was a somewhat decently hyped up game. Turned out to be a pretty boring game. Only 24 total points scored, but a competitive game, and one that Auburn was able to win. And I expect Auburn to win again this year, this time by much more of a margin of victory for the Tigers. And this one, I expect them to beat Cal by 2+ touchdowns. I just think that they have the better talent. And last year, they didn't really play their best game against California in that one either. And they had to travel all the way across the country. This time, Cal travels to them. Then in week 3, they get New Mexico. I have this game as a win. Again, New Mexico, they just don't have the talent to compete with a team like Auburn. I think that, although I say that, New Mexico State beat Auburn last year 31-10. But I think that Auburn is much improved, and that one's not going to happen again to them this year. I have them as a win in the win column for this game. Then they get Arkansas at home. This is a team that they blew out on the road last year, 48-10. I have them winning this time, this game this year, and I think it's going to be by a similar margin. I think they blow Arkansas out. Just think Auburn's a much better football team. I think they have more weapons offensively, stronger defense, and I think the big thing is that their defensive line, headlined by Jason Jones and Keldrick Falk, are going to be able to get after um, Taylon Green, the Arkansas quarterback, and really take advantage of an Arkansas offensive line that really didn't do good last year, and which is kind of surprising because that was um, Sam Pittman's specialty, but didn't really do a good job. I expect them to be able to take advantage of that. I don't know how much improved that Arkansas offensive line is going to be. Then the first real test of the season, you get Oklahoma at home. I have this game as a loss. I think this is going to be a closer game. This is one that I could see Auburn winning, especially with this being a home game for them. But I just don't know if they have what it takes to get the job done. I do have Oklahoma winning this one. I think Oklahoma just has a little bit more offensively. I I think Peyton Thorne is a solid quarterback, but after the numbers he put up last year, and yes, a large part of that is due to the just lack of weapons he had around him. But I still don't know how great he's going to do with the rest of these weapons. I expect him to do pretty solid. I think he'll throw for 3,000 plus yards this year, but I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to. And DJ Durkin, by the way, they brought him in at defensive coordinator. He's going to lead a pretty strong defense, but I think this Oklahoma offense is just going to have too much firepower for Auburn to pull out the win. Then they go on the road to Georgia. This is going to be a loss. Auburn is, they're going to struggle in this one. Now, last year they only lost 27-20 and kind of gave that game away. But, you got to go on the road to Georgia this time. Georgia's not going to let that one slip by. Again, on the schedule, I expect Georgia to win this game by 14, 17 plus points. But I do think Auburn is gonna have their way a little bit in this game, and they'll make some plays and score some points for sure. Then they get a bye week. Then they go on the road to Missouri. This is another one. This is going to be a tough game. This is a tough stretch right here. Oklahoma at Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky. This is a tough stretch for Auburn. But I have them losing this game at Missouri. Just once again, I think Missouri has too much offensively for Auburn to handle. I think that Auburn's going to be able to put some points up on the board against them. And I think this is going to be a bit of a higher scoring game, but in the end, I do have Missouri pulling this game out. I think by about a 10-point margin, something around that. And then you go on the road to Kentucky. I have this game as a win. I think that Auburn pulls this one out. Kentucky loses a decent bit, particularly Ray Davis at running back for them, who was, when they had nothing on offense, they had him. And he really carried that offense the whole season, much like he did at Vanderbilt for the years prior that he was there. But I think that Auburn has enough to beat Kentucky. I think that the defense can stop Kentucky's offense, and I think that Auburn's offense is going to be able to put up a fair amount of points in this one. I have Auburn winning this one anywhere between 7 and 13, 14 points. Then you get Vanderbilt at home. You're going to blow Vanderbilt out. This will be a win. You beat them 31-15 on the road last year. I expect a similar margin of victory in this one, 17 plus points, somewhere around in there. Don't think Vanderbilt's going to be much competition. Then you get a bye week. Then you get Louisiana Monroe. This is another game I have down as a win for Auburn. I think that they're able to pull it out and win this game against Louisiana Monroe. Don't think it's going to be very much competition in this one, but be careful because when they played New Mexico State in the same spot last season, they lost to them at home by 21 points. So it wasn't the best outing, but that was also right before the Bama game. You get A&M at home the next week, so shouldn't be any problems for Auburn. I have them winning this one. Then you get A&M at home. I think Auburn wins this game as well. I'm not a big fan of Texas A&M. Part of that was due to Jimbo Fisher, but part of it is just because it's A&M. 7-5 is just what they do. Now I like Elko as a head coach. I think he's going to run a pretty tight defense over there. I like Wiegman as a quarterback, but I don't know. I'm not a huge believer in A&M. I think that Auburn pulls out the win at home against the Aggies this year. Then the Iron Bowl, gosh, you should have won it last year, 4th and 31. I know Auburn fans are going to hate me for reminding them of that one, but I think that it's definitely one you should have won. I don't see Auburn winning it this year, but then again, we've seen worse Auburn teams go up against better Bama teams in Tuscaloosa and blow the game away in that one too. Bryce Young going 99, 98 yards in under a minute to win it. Um, so, I mean, Auburn, it's you can never predict the Iron Bowl because it just doesn't matter. It's a rivalry game. Same thing with any rivalry game. It doesn't matter how bad one team is, how good another team is. You can't overlook it. I have Alabama winning this game, but would not be shocked at all to see Auburn win it. But I do think that Alabama is the better team. I think they got a better head coach, and just better talent all across the board for the most part. But still a solid season for Auburn. I have them going 8-4 this year. Another improvement for Hugh Freeze. I could see 7-5, 6-6. I could even see 9-3 potentially if you pull one off against Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, or Alabama. But I have them going 8-4. So Auburn fans, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Appreciate all of you guys watching.